What's going on, everybody? It's your boy J Main back checking in with the people. And I know I'm late, but today I do want to give y'all my review for Gears of War 4. Now, starting with the visuals, I do want to say that Gears of War 4 is probably one of the better looking Xbox One games. I wouldn't say the best. I know Rise Son of Rome looks great, and a couple other titles, but Gears of War 4, it definitely looks great. I think the Coalition did a great job with the visuals. You know, it did have some issues with texture quality. You know, sometimes when I did zoom in on a couple things, like the textures were really blurry, or sometimes just missing textures. Period. It wasn't a huge deal, but just something that I wanted to point out. Um, as far as staying on the visuals, the scenery, I thought some of the scenery was really good, but it did, as far as a whole, it did kind of lack environments. I thought early on they did a great job with showing some like brighter looking environments, but overall it's mostly dark. And I know that's kind of the formula for Gears. It's kind of a dark game, but I thought it would have been nice to have some better looking, not better looking scenery, but more variety for scenery. And that also goes into play with the story. So it's just a decision that they made. The scenery they have doesn't look bad, but me personally, I would have liked it to be more an adventure in different areas and different places. But it is what it is. I do want to say that the weather effects that they did add to this game look great and they sound amazing. A lot of times throughout the gameplay, they have like these wind storms and these lightning storms, and I think the lightning and wind storms look phenomenal. They're a bitch when playing on Insane as far as the lightning storms go, but that's another point in the later on in the review. But yeah, the visuals overall look really good, and the sound I thought was really good. From the guns to, like I said, about the weather effects to the enemy noises, and all the enemies have their distinct noises. So what's really crazy, I've been playing on Insane when I beat it, and you get so like used to enemy sounds that you don't even have to see them. You just hear certain noises and you're like, oh, fuck. Like, you know what you in for, especially when you're playing on Insane. So, it's really great when it comes to the sounding of the enemies and the weapons. The soundtrack is really good. They did a good job with capturing the moment as far as the music goes and making it feel intense when you're, in that battle and you got one enemy left and, he's hassling you and you got to, like, maneuver out the way. And, it just switches up sometimes depending on what enemy you're fighting against. But overall, definitely did great on the sound. I do want to move on to the gameplay. Now, I want to preface my comments by saying Gears is not a series that I'm too familiar with. I started back when Gears of War 1 came out, and I played that heavily, and then I kind of faded away from Xbox, period, and went on to PlayStation. And at the time, I couldn't afford both consoles, so Gears was never a franchise that I had lineage with. But I did play the Ultimate Edition. I replayed the first one, and I wanted to play the other ones in the series before 4 came out. I just didn't have enough time to get back to those, so I did read up on the other games. So do, bear with me when it comes to the history of Gears. If I do make a mistake, I apologize in advance. But, Gears of War 4 looked great, so that's why I wanted to pick it up. And the gameplay was always something that I felt Gears, they nailed. I know the Epic was making the game before, and now it's handed over to the Coalition. But I feel like the gameplay still feels solid as far as what I remember from the old Gears game that I played. The gunplay is phenomenal. Some people have issues with the way you like run with the roadie run and the cover and how it's all like the same button, but I think it's kind of unique and different. It switches it up, gives it a kind of a fresh feel when it comes to gameplay. Some people feel like it's clunky. It can be at first, but I think you'll get used to it over time. The cover system, as always, is phenomenal. They added some new things like pulling people over the cover system, or when you do run towards the cover system, you can kind of vault over and kick the enemy. And the enemy can do the same to you, so you got to be careful. And there is a counter button that you can press within the time frame. So that's pretty cool that they added that to the cover system. It makes it so that, especially with multiplayer, you're not just shooting blindly over the cover and not hitting anything, trying to egg the enemy to come out. So it definitely gives it a nice variety. The enemy variety, like I said before, was great. The bosses, if you want to even call it that, kind of the bigger enemies, those guys, they were really good. They some of them even gave me like, I don't know how much you're familiar with Bloodborne, but one of the bosses I fought literally tapped into my Bloodborne skills, and I had to like maneuver and dodge and get out of there, kind of the way I did with Bloodborne. So it was really dope, and I like how most of the bosses have, it makes you play a different way within the system. Um, Also, what I liked about the story mode, I'm not sure if they did this with the other Gears game, but if you're familiar with Horde mode, where you have to build up fronts and defenses before the enemies come, they did apply that to the story mode. Like I said, I'm not sure if it was in older Gears games, but it is in this one. And that Horde mode is pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? You got to build up a defense, and then the enemies come, and you got to protect yourself and your team. It only shows up a couple times throughout the game, and I kind of wish it was there more because I really had a lot of fun setting up the defenses and, switching it up depending on which enemies were coming and things like that. So that was really cool. And playing on Insane, man, when you beat something on Insane, Insane is probably definitely one of the hardest modes I've played in the game this year. I know Uncharted 4 came out. I think Insane on Gears is harder than Crushing on Uncharted. That's just me personally. I just think a lot of the enemies are more aggressive on Gears of War 4. They don't kind of just sit back and wait. Sometimes on Uncharted it's like that, but on Gears, man, you just got so many enemy varieties coming at you at once. It's incredible, but beating it on Insane is such an accomplishment, and it feels really good. I ain't even going front, and I did it by myself, solo. Holla at me. Some negative things I do feel about the gameplay is that it kind of feels one-dimensional. You go to an area, enemies come at you, you shoot them up. You go to the next area, enemies come at you, you shoot them up. The gameplay is so great and the gunplay is so great that you kind of are okay with it. But when you look back at it, and I know, like I said, this is their direction of the game. But me personally, I like a game with an adventure that switches it up. Maybe throw some puzzles at you. I know Gears is not famous for that. This is just me personally. Throw some puzzles in there. Like I said, have more scenery, have more variety in the scenery. And it's just not what this game offers. It kind of plays it safe, and it gives the fans of the Gears franchise what they want. I'm not a diehard Gears fan, so this is me speaking outside the box, looking in on the series. And I do want to talk about the story. I know I've been talking about the gameplay, but the story, just to give a little backstory, this takes place 25 years after the events of the Gears series. And, there's a new regime in place with the coalition, the COG. And basically what's going on is you are the main character of Marcus Phoenix's son, JD, and he's with his friends, Dell and Kate. And Dell and Marcus Phoenix's son, JD, they were a part of the COG, but they went AWOL because they weren't too fond of basically the policies in place that were going on at the new COG. And they went AWOL and decided to join some outsiders who are basically people who feel the same way that they did, but prior to the way when they felt that way. So these are people who set up shop outside the COG bases, and they just living off their own will. They don't get any assistance from the COG and things like that. So they went AWOL, and in order to help out the outsiders, which is basically their new family, they wanted to break into one of the COG bases or whatever and steal a fabricator, basically to help restore power back at their village. So you go do that. You have to deal with some of the new enemy types, which are the DBs, which are like robots that the COG have created to help with security and things like that and protection. And you got to deal with them. And on your way back, they do attack your village. So you have to defend them off. But in the process of all of that, they also get attacked as well by this new enemy. And this is something that nobody's ever seen before, and people are like, what the hell is this? What is going on? So some of the villagers get captured, some of them get killed, and now your job is to go about and try and figure out what enemies these are, because it's something they've never seen before, and to get the villagers back. And Reyna, and I think the other guy's name, what's this other guy's name? I forgot his name, but he's one of the people that were helping you out, still a fabricator. And they're trying to get him back, and they're trying to get Reyna back, who's Kate's mom. But in the midst of all that, you come across part of the enemy's arm that was cut off, and JD wants to take it to Marcus's father, see if he recognizes what's going on. So that's where the story starts. And there's a lot of twist and turn that take place within the story. And overall, I thought the story was really good. It wasn't something that like anything amazing to me. I thought it had its amazing moments. Some moments that were pretty sad or had potential to be pretty sad, and I thought the ending was really good. It definitely sets up for another Gears franchise, and they did a good job with that. I had a problem with the character development in the game. They introduced these 3 new characters, and I just feel like they didn't develop them well. I feel like if JD's the main character, where is like you don't feel that connection to him. Like, where's the backstory with him and his father? They do get into some dialogue within the game, but I wanted to know more about JD as a kid. I wanted to know about him growing up as the son of Marcus Phoenix. And you don't really get any of that in the first game, so it's hard for you to really connect to him. And then with Dell, I mean, he was just corny to me. Like, I don't know if they were trying to make him like Cole was in the other Gears, but he was kind of like the exact opposite, and he was just corny, and to me, he was not needed. But of course, they like to have a couple characters as the team. I feel like Kate was the best character within the story, and I feel like the way that they developed her was really good, because most of the story was revolved around you trying to save her mom. So you get to learn more about her. You get to learn more about her personal feelings towards the guys and towards the COG and everything that's going on, and you get that satisfaction towards the end when the story winds down and you get to the conclusion. So to me, it felt like she was the main character of the game, and that's just the way I felt about it. Maybe in the future games they'll do a better job with giving us more background of the other characters, but the way it ended, I can't see that. I can't see. It seems like it's going to be more focused on Kate, which is not a problem because she's a great character, but all this stuff about JD, it's really bare. You don't get much about him. But overall, the multiplayer is great. It's Gears. I'm still trash, but I'm getting better. I really like it though. It's really fun. They added a couple new modes, couple new maps. Like I said, they got the new pole vault system, which works for multiplayer as well. And they added a new weapon called the drop shot, which is pretty cool. But yeah, overall, man, I thought this was a really good game. I had some negatives about it, but overall, this is definitely one of my top games for the year. And I'm looking forward to the sequel. I think Gears is in great hands with the Coalition. I do hope they shake it up a little bit with variety of scenery and better character development. And we'll see about adding some things to the gameplay, but I know they want to keep it and play it safe with the hardcore Gears fans, and that's fine. If they're gonna keep it that way, that's fine. But yeah, man, great game. Looking forward to the sequel. But this is my review. Let me know what you guys think. Have you beat Gears of War? Are you a Gears of War fan? Let me know down in the comment section what you think. If you want, you can add me on Xbox Live, JMain518. I'll be playing multiplayer here and there. And yeah, so don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and I appreciate everybody's support. I'll check y'all out in my next video. Peace.